Hello sports fans, and welcome back to the BBN Report, where we talk all things college football and basketball. And today we have a little preview video for the upcoming college football playoff game, and the game that I'm a little bit more excited about, the game between Georgia and Michigan. So why don't you guys go ahead and grab a cold one, and let's talk about some college football. Now on paper, this seems like a more intriguing matchup than the Cincinnati-Alabama game, which I'll try and upload a video for tomorrow. Like I said, this is the more intriguing matchup. I think this will be the more competitive matchup. And I guess one of the biggest questions going into this game is, after the little debacle that was the SEC title game for Georgia, and I'll be honest here, I don't think that Georgia should be in the playoff. You know, the way that they lost the SEC championship game, I personally think that if you don't win your conference championship game, I don't think you should be in the playoff. I think you should have to win your conference to get in there. But that's a discussion for an entirely different video. But going into this game, I guess the biggest question for Georgia was Kirby Smart going to consider making a quarterback change? And no, I don't think so. I think that decision was made a long time ago, and when JT Daniels came back healthy, and he's been in some games, and Kirby Smart's not even let JT Daniels even throw a pass. So it's clearly to me that he's going to ride the Stetson Bennett train, the game manager, if you will, as Stetson Bennett likes to call himself. But like I said, I think he's going to ride with Stetson Bennett. I don't even think JT Daniels will even get in first team reps. So that's definitely not something that we'll definitely see in this game. And this isn't the first time Kirby Smart has been foolish about a QB situation down there at Georgia. I mean, let's just be honest here. He chose to play Jake Fromm over Justin Fields. He's now chose to play Stetson Bennett over a clearly superior JT Daniels. But like I said, that's a discussion for an entirely different time. And let's be honest here. Everybody knows that Stetson Bennett is mediocre at best as a quarterback. But I guess another big question is, how will Georgia respond after the dismantling that Alabama gave them in the SEC title game a few weeks back? And let's be honest here, Georgia is coming off by far and away their worst performance as a team, both arguably offensively and on defense. I mean, going into that game, Georgia's defense has only given up, like 6 points a game or something ridiculous. And even now, even after that game, I still think they're giving up just over 9 points a game, even after being dismantled like they were against Alabama. But I guess the big question is, will Georgia bounce back? And I believe so. Their defense was very uncharacteristic in that game. Their zone defense really let them down, and Bryce Young was really able to tear that defense apart. He really picked it apart in every way, shape, or form you could imagine. And it came down to a lot of guys from Georgia really being out of position, blown coverages. Very uncharacteristic of a Georgia defense that we've seen all season long. So the real question comes down to, is the Georgia defense the team that we saw for the first 12 weeks of the season, or the one game that we saw against Alabama? And I'm going to go and lean towards what we saw for 12 games is what Georgia's defense really is. And everybody has a bad game, and unfortunately for Georgia and Georgia fans, it came at the worst time possible against an Alabama team. But like I said, everybody's due for a bad game, and I do think that the Georgia defense will bounce back. And prior to the SEC title game, Stetson Bennett was actually completing 64% of his passes for an SEC best 10.8 yards per completion. Yes, better than Bryce Young in that department. And it's no secret on offense who Stetson Bennett likes to throw the ball to. Tight end Brock Bowers, who in my opinion is an absolute stud at the tight end position. He leads Georgia with 11 touchdowns on the season. And in my opinion, they're really going to need that kind of production against a Michigan team who's only allowed 4 passing touchdowns in their previous 5 games on their 5-game winning streak that they have going. As for the rushing game, Xavier White and James Cook really lead the rushing attack for the Georgia Bulldogs. And this is actually a team that's given up they've combined for 17 touchdowns on the season. And it's definitely going to be a challenge to see if they can really establish that run game. Because this Michigan team that they're going against on Friday is a very elite team at stopping the run. I don't think a lot of people have talked about how great Michigan's defense is. I mean, this is a Michigan team who ranks 4th in the nation in with just 16.1 points per game. Like I said, I think it's a team that a lot of people have kind of undervalued on the defense for Michigan. I don't think it's. You always hear a lot of things about Hassan Haskins, who is an absolute beast, and you hear, some other things about Michigan. But one of the things, that offensive line. But one thing I think has really become one of the unsung heroes for Michigan has been their defense, who has been great all season long. And like I said, this Michigan team is great at stopping the run. They've only given up 3 rushing touchdowns in their previous 5 games. And that includes playing Ohio State and an Iowa team who has been elite running the ball all year. Running the ball was Iowa's bread and butter all season long. So like I said, I think this has definitely been an unsung hero part of Michigan. Not to mention that I seen with the other day where they ranked the offensive lines in college football, and they ranked Michigan's offensive line as the best in all of college football. And that definitely is something to look at. I mean, that's one of the number one reasons why both Blake and Hassan Haskins have been able to rush like they have, and just, that rushing attack has been very lethal against teams all season long. And that rushing attack has been been one of the reasons why Cade McNamara has been able to be, a mediocre. Let's just be honest here. He's a mediocre quarterback, but he doesn't turn the ball over. I mean, in their current win streak, he's thrown 8 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions on their current 5-game win streak, and that's one of the reasons why Michigan's been able to run the ball like they have. Is that Cade McNamara on the season in generally, it just hasn't turned the ball over, and he's done just what has been needed to be done of him to be able to keep the running game, be able to keep it active and keep defenses honest and not just make them stack the box. Because if you do stack the box on Michigan, Cade McNamara can and will complete passes that will burn you. So that's definitely been one of the things that, out of the first-year starter for Cade McNamara, he's definitely done his job and helped Michigan get to where they need to be. Like I said earlier in this video, I do think this is going to be the much better game between the 2 semifinal games. That's the number one reason why I wanted to cover this one first. Going into this game, as of right now, Georgia is favored by 7.5, and I think that sounds about right. I do think this game is going to be very competitive for most of the game, but ultimately, I do think that Georgia is going to get this done. And I do think they will cover the 7.5. I will be betting Georgia to cover 7.5. But one of the number one reasons why I do think Georgia will win this game is that as great as Michigan's offensive line has been this season, and as good as Hassan Haskins has been, they have not faced a front 7 with the skill level that is Georgia. I mean, literally, there's a pretty good chance that the whole front 7 for Georgia is going to be playing on Sundays. And this is one of the stingiest front 7s that we've arguably ever seen in college football. And I definitely think that it's been one of the reasons that has gotten Georgia to where they are right now. I do believe that as long as Stetson Bennett takes care of the football and doesn't turn over and throw any interceptions, I do like Georgia's chances of winning this game. I do think they are the better team top to bottom. And let's be honest here, even if Michigan does lose this game and they don't win, even if for some reason Michigan gets blown out, and I don't think Michigan will get blown out, but let's just be honest here, let's be honest here, any Michigan fans watching this, if you are watching this, let's be honest here, you guys didn't think that you were going to be in the college football playoff this year. You guys were kind of hoping for maybe 8 wins on the season, given all the off-season turnover that happened on the roster. And it is kind of ironic that, the last time Georgia made the playoffs in 2017, that was also a fan base who had no idea that they would be in the college football playoff in Kirby Smart's second year down there in Athens. And they were definitely surprised by the whole making the playoff thing. And I definitely think Michigan fans are delighted and surprised by that as well, because any Michigan fan that tells me that they thought that they'd be in the playoff this year is, to me, just a biased fan. There's a reason why in Vegas, for the preseason line for over-under for wins was Michigan was 6.5. So I really think you've got to give Jim Harbaugh his dues here, really getting a lot of the monkeys off his back, like losing to Ohio State. And this is a Michigan team who very well could be undefeated. I mean, They did lose, I believe, at East Lansing to Michigan State. It was a game that they had a double-digit lead in late, and Michigan State came back to win that game. And Michigan is clearly the better team between those two. And this could very well be a matchup of an undefeated Michigan and a one-loss Georgia team. I did see where a lot of people were upset that Jim Harbaugh won the Coach of the Year, which kind of blows my mind given that, you were only expected to win 6.5 games on the season. You go out and you're in the playoff. Jim Harbaugh definitely deserves that Coach of the Year. As for a score prediction on this game, like I said, I do think this is going to end up being a pretty close game for the most part, and I do think Georgia will cover the 7.5. I'm predicting like a 28-17 final for this game. So if you guys want, you guys can go ahead and tell me what you guys think of this upcoming college football semifinal playoff game. You guys can drop me some of your guys' score predictions, and I'll go ahead and I'll catch you guys in the next one.